What if losing interest in the job you once loved is a signal of growth? What if that shift in your energy means you've expanded and your work is ready to expand with you? In this episode, Cecilia Zapata-Harms shares how she recognized that turning point after over 3 decades in leadership and chose to build forward following intuition and intention. This is the Your Next Success podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Carolyn Segal. I am a life-first career coach and strategist on a mission to normalize questioning your career, because I believe each of us is made on purpose for a purpose only we can fulfill. The longer we live out of alignment with who we are, what we do best, and why we are here, the more we miss out, and the more the world misses out on what only we can give. The Your Next Success podcast is where we explore how to build a career that truly fuels your life. We talk about self-discovery, smart job search strategies, professional growth, and you will hear stories from people who have navigated big career transitions themselves, so you can create a life-first career and become your own version of authentic success. My guest today is Cecilia Zapata-Harms. Cecilia has served multiple decades in leadership roles across life science and healthcare, operating inside complex institutions where innovation, research, and strategic partnerships shape real outcomes. She understands how organizations grow and how meaningful progress gets built. As her leadership evolved, her interest also evolved. She recognized that her energy was moving towards something new. Today, Cecilia is the founder and executive director of Women, Life, and Science and has created a supportive community in the Greenville, South Carolina area and beyond. She also accelerates the startup ecosystem through Palmetto Innovasphere, where life science innovators receive structure, strategic guidance, and connection. Cecilia builds environments where expansion happens for people, ideas, and impact. There is a point in the careers of many high achievers when growth creates a shift. Your competence remains, your credibility remains, and yet your energy is pulling you towards somewhere new. When you listen, that shift carries and creates clarity. Cecilia Zapata-Harms reached that moment after decades of high-level leadership. Instead of persevering with more momentum in the same direction, she chose alignment. Her experience became the foundation, and she built something that reflected who she was becoming. In this conversation, we explore the leadership evolution, the power of shared success, and the distinction between external validation and internal direction. We talk about building ecosystems instead of chasing titles and creating communities where momentum expands collectively. If your growth is creating movement in your own career, this episode will delight you. Cecilia, welcome to Your Next Success. I am so excited to be talking with you again.
Yay! I am too. I have been looking forward to this. I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much. I remember our first conversations, and this has been so many things have happened since.
Yes.
Look at you. Yay, you.
Look at you. I mean, I'm just like, I just keep putting my head down, trying to do the right thing.
As long as it's joyful.
Awesome. It is joyful.
Okay,
it is joyful. I think it's also getting into a point of, wait. What did I really want to do? And what am I actually doing? And how can I adjust? But I assure you, I'm so excited to get to know more of your story behind the amazing, awesome success, promoter and gatherer and collaborator of women and, entrepreneurial companies and all of those things. So we're going to get into that.
Oh boy.
And this is a subject you know very well because it's you. It's all about you. So tell us, where were you born? What was life like for the very youngest Cecilia?
Okay, so interesting story there, which most people that I know have heard me talk about it before. So I'm an only child. I was born in a Navy hospital in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So Navy brat. We didn't live there for very long because my dad was stationed there, and then uh, my mom's family lived in the Philippines. So being in the Navy, my dad was, shipped all over
Yeah.
the place. And as a young mom with no family where we were, they decided that she was better off, coming home to her family to just have that support system. So we lived in the Philippines pretty early, my early years, like, until I was like maybe two.
Which
Um,
part of the Philippines?
Manila.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But being a Navy brat, my dad was stationed in Japan for a few years. And so we lived in Japan, in Okinawa for a while. Interesting enough, though, somehow I credit a lot of me, and I talk about this a lot. I credit a lot of me of how far, where I am today because of the sort of like the vision of my mother of you're not gonna just, hop along in school to different schools. You're actually gonna go somewhere where it's a disciplined structure. And she decided to enroll me into a private school for girls. It's a Catholic, actually, it was a convent in Spain. And so during the school years, I lived there, and then vacations, I would hop on a military plane and then come back.
How did
Yeah,
she even know about this school in Spain?
don't don't ask me.
Right? Like, I'm just saying, like,
I
already it's kind of
I
interesting.
know
Navy,
there's a
yeah,
story there in itself, right? And so she I don't know. And I think she met someone, probably I grew up
yeah,
Catholic, so she probably met a Catholic nun and
yes.
said something, and she looked into it and all that stuff.
And
Yeah.
so, from what age was that you were?
Keep in mind, my biological father passed away fairly early when I was little. I went to school, kindergarten, all the way up to maybe equivalent to like eighth grade here.
So, as a kindergartner, you were put into a completely different country, completely different environment, nearly basically on your own.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I start to really think back of how I behave as a person, this is where I think one of the reasons why uh, when I embrace people in my life, they become family
Mm,
because that's been
yeah,
the thing
yeah.
growing up.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you remember before you went there? Like, what did you love to do? What kind
Oh,
of things were fun or fascinating, or how you enjoyed your time?
as a kid, I
Yeah, like a really young, like before 5, or is it all the memories are now zapped into, this environment in Spain?
there, I mean, certain snippets of things like I've always had that. I think if I remember, I had this room like at our house. I had a room, my own room, but I also had a kind of like a we had this extra room that somehow I wanted a blackboard and things like that. And yeah, so it was still a chalkboard, when I
Yeah,
was growing up. And
yeah.
then and there were books everywhere. So that I remember. I've always loved books, whatever that is. And then as a kindergartner, I remember like cutting magazines and making my own little paper dolls. And then I would take a shoebox and I turn that into sort of like a stage.
Oh, nice.
And then I would like write plays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I wish my
That's
mom would have saved some of that, but I mean, it's just right now, I'm even seeing this box. It's pink on the outside, and I had like scenery that I cut from a magazine, and I pasted it on the back, and
that's so
I'd make
cool.
it's just
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah,
like
a really really neat little scenes. And then but this is kind of a very fascinating I think element because this being in the midst of a community of women has been nearly from your infancy. Obviously, that your mom was a very strong woman to want to do what she thought was going to be the best for you and for your development and growing up, even though I can't even imagine how that was for her to have to give her precious daughter over to
well,
somebody
yeah, and you
else
would
and a
think,
group of
well, and
women. Yeah.
and she traveled there with me, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
she was in Spain with me. It wasn't like I left my home of homes and off she goes.
So you still went home to your mom, but yet you went to school in the daytime to this.
Yeah, yeah,
Aha. Okay,
yeah,
that's good. Okay, because I'm
yeah,
like, wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
it's
yeah. No,
still,
no,
but still,
it wasn't severe.
okay,
Where it's like ship you off.
but still, she's immersed herself in yet another culture,
Yeah,
language,
yeah.
environment.
She
Um,
spoke Spanish. She's part Spanish anyway. So it wasn't, I mean, culturally, like my grandfather on my mother's side is 100% Spanish.
gotcha, gotcha.
And my grandmother, her mom was Chinese, Japanese, and Filipino.
Interesting,
Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
So,
And and so your dad passed away when you were really little? Like how old were you? Do you
oh,
remember him?
no, no. And then she never remarried until much, much later, which is one of the reasons why it was easier for her to get
Yeah,
to me, right? So
yeah, yeah. Interesting. Okay.
she remarried later, and then that also to a Navy guy, and that brought us all over the world. And then back to Japan, Germany, and then the last station was Washington State
Interesting.
in my high school years.
So in your high school year, so kindergarten to roughly eighth grade, you're in this
Yeah,
convent for
I
school
skipped I
in
skipped
Spain.
I skipped 2 grades technically because I actually here I skipped 8 and 9, then went straight to 10th.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so you're there, then you're like Japan and all over, and then Washington State. And where did you go to high school?
Chief South High, Washington State.
Wow. Wow. And during school, what kind of things did you like, and what did you like outside of school? Like what fascinated you? What sort of subjects were you drawn to, and what did you do in your time outside of school?
Oh, well, so I was a volleyball player at school. I learned that at the Catholic school because the nuns loved volleyball. So they taught me. I played varsity volleyball in high school, got varsity volleyball freshman college, until I hurt my knee and I couldn't do it anymore. And that was when they would accept anybody because I am 5'2.5". I am not 6'2.5" as a volleyball player. So,
Yeah.
it's just one of those fluke in itself. Let's see. Outside of school, I mean, typical. I mean, I don't remember too much about like typical play. I remember a neighbor who was the daughter of an actor, and we became good friends. Got to see like how her dad, played a role in some film.
Interesting. Yeah.
Um, just stuff. Yeah, yeah.
And how did you decide what to do after high school?
Like after, oh, like
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
my
like where,
career.
what to study, all of like, well,
Oh,
like going to school beyond high school and all like
uh,
how did that even come to fruition?
I don't. I've always said I wanted to be in some sort of health related field. I was taking pre-med courses uh, was when, got to undergrad, didn't really like it as much. Um, so I said, all right, fine, I'll go into nursing because maybe it's not the medical school, maybe it's a nursing school. Didn't like that very much either.
Mm.
Um, uh, and then during the prerequisite classes for both of those uh, track, um, I met Dr. Soland at the University of Washington. She actually was teaching Anthropology 101. And here's this 6 foot, actually, she was taller than 6 foot. I think she was 6'2",
Wow.
Norwegian woman anthropologist, taught the class. She talked about archaeology. She talked about all the different disciplines under anthropology, and then her subject matter was in social cultural anthropology, and then something clicked that my fascination to culture, like
Mm.
different historical, different belief systems, um, all that, different countries, different.
And did you just study them from Washington State, or did
Yeah.
you now travel and go and immerse yourself in some of those as well?
Specifically in Washington State, I mean, the programs were incredible. Obviously, all great academic organizations have an incredible program. Um, the opportunity there was really because of her, but also I was fascinated with tribal, Native American Indians, but not just Native American
Yeah.
Indians, any tribal cultures, and so got to see and work in different parts of the world,
Mm.
from observing culture, archaeological, and then kind of getting into belief systems and stuff like that. Because my minor is actually in religious anthropology.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very interesting. Very
yeah.
fascinating. And then what happened?
Oh, and then what happened? Well, so mind you, during undergrad all the way through grad school, I was working full time. So we
And what were you
weren't,
doing for work? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I held many different, all within the healthcare. I held many different jobs. My first job in the hospital system was actually pouring orange juice for the patients' breakfast. That was my first job. Worked in
That's
the
awesome.
kitchen and in the afternoon and poured orange juice, getting it ready for the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. But so you're drawn to healthcare. So we have, you're immersed in communities of women. Now there's a woman who's an amazing mentor and kind of guide and opens you up to all sorts of extra
Things.
knowledge and
Yes.
backgrounds and things to kind of learn about and cultures and people. And then you're, immersed in various places of healthcare as you're going to school. And then in grad school, did you stay at the same place for undergrad and grad school, or
Yeah.
how did you? Okay,
University of Washington.
awesome.
Yeah.
And now then when you graduate, what did you do?
Well, so it's not very linear, not in that way. None of, and I think everyone can relate to this. No one's path has been a straight line, right?
Mhm.
We've all sort of done this sort of
Squiggle.
thing. Yeah. Lovely swivels. Um, I, I've always sort of um, followed intuition. So all through college, all through grad, working, ended up working at Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle. After working in a hospital system, so how that even happened was, again, I follow whatever is put
Yeah,
in front of me because there's something there, and stayed there for a long time. And not actually that organization molded me in the way that I am today.
that's in what ways would you say? What are some of the ways you've contributed?
Entrepreneurial, innovative, thinking outside the box, being around the constant curiosity of what if. Um, I don't really believe in the word no or the word impossible.
Mm,
I've always that came from just sort of that molding. Because even before, I've always like, well, what do you mean I can't do that kind of thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, I followed the sort of that same model that they have because and worked with some incredible, my gosh, fascinating people, Nobel laureates, um, one of the founders of bone marrow transplant. I mean, just incredible. His wife was an incredible woman, you know, tough, smart, um, because again back then it wasn't, it was it's like groveling on concrete trying to kind of make your
yeah,
way as a career professional. She was tough, not in the sense of like tough as in like, hardcore kind of individual. She was tough because she expected high expectations of especially women, and but at the same time it was a balance of softness too.
mm, that's
So
nice.
yeah.
Maybe like a beautiful resilience where she still has a strong pull and yet flexible in how it could be achieved.
Yeah, no, I characterize her more as the what would be a good word for her? It's not yes, absolutely resilient, mission driven.
Mm,
Mission driven.
love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
mission driven with not forgetting the heart.
Mm,
So, yeah.
very, very important. And so then having such a great experience working with so many beautiful, amazing people, including her, then why did that? Why didn't you say? Like, what happened there? Like,
Well,
how
I
did
was
you
there for
go
a
to
long
something?
time, right? But
Yeah.
I,
And then, but then how do you pick what to do after that?
well, again, my life has been guided by a lot of different things, and I tend to kind of, I guess I recognize things in front of me.
Mm,
Um, uh, so I was there for almost 27 years, actually almost 30 years. And so, but just like anything, evolution
yeah.
happens. Things change, right? There's
Yep.
nothing stays the same. That's the constant is change. And I was also at a point where I've done it. I've held leadership roles. I've done it. I have never, I have always wanted to kind of go out on my own. And so I did. And I jumped. There was an opportunity. I mean, actually, I didn't even know what the heck I was doing, but I knew it was done. I was done. And so I let
Yeah.
that one go. It was you do a lot of soul searching, you do a lot of, finding your life coach and reading up on books and all that stuff. And you get to a point where you're like, you can only read so much. Either go get off your ass, excuse the French, I know we're being recorded, or suck it up. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be fine with where you are. So,
So
but
were there
I wasn't
certain
like that.
feelings like
Huh?
to this kind of the feeling of like knowing you're done, knowing that that chapter is ending and another chapter is beginning? Like, do you remember what it felt like? Or was it just like some sort of like internal knowing, or were there any physical symptoms as well?
No physical symptoms. Well, I guess you could call it a physical symptom. I knew I was done because I had no interest anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and uh, when you kind of when you're done with that,
Yep.
that means that chapter is done.
Yeah. And so then you open yourself up to a new possibility and you end up leaving. And did you end up moving as well?
Nope, stayed there for a little bit longer. I mean, all the way through COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
And you were
but
still in Washington or were you somewhere
yeah.
else?
No, we were still in Washington. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But immediately right after that, other people that I worked with at the organization have moved on to bigger and better things too. But they themselves are entrepreneurial, and they have actually wanted to build some sort of accelerator type group. And so we did that. We started this small accelerator slash investor group. Um, Small. I mean, we have a small portfolio. Um, did I know something about, accelerator? Yes, because I would look at the Hutches as an accelerator institute.
Yeah.
Um, so there's knowledge there, but as an expert, probably not. So, I jumped in without knowing that I'm going to learn as I go. So,
Mm.
and then one of the companies that we worked with ended up moving to South Carolina, and that's what relocated us.
Interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you spent a long time in Washington, and then why? I guess you're just following the possibility of something that's there. Had you ever visited before you
Oh yeah,
moved?
yeah, yeah. Well, for my
Yeah.
previous work, I traveled all over the world. I mean, and oversaw relationships, right? Collaborators for the organization. So I know South Carolina, but I know Charleston more than I did the upstate. I didn't know. I knew North Carolina, but from Duke University area, not
Mhm, mhm.
not Asheville, not again on
Yeah.
the border, right? So came out here, and you know what kicked in? I think the anthropology side of me kicked in and said, "Oh my gosh, here's another opportunity to learn a new culture, a different group. What would it feel like to?" And I do this anyway. Even when I travel, I tend to like, okay, I'm going to just be here and quote unquote pretend that I'm one of the people. So if I were one of the people, what would I do? Where would I go? How would I behave? What are the
Interesting. Yeah.
what are the cultural things? What are the beliefs? What are the la la la? So it's a thing.
It's
Uh,
an immersion.
yeah, and I just kind of do it. And I learn as I go, and you get to a point where it's like, okay, you learn as you go, and you adapt because adaptability is important. And then here I am.
And so how did okay, so you were in an accelerator and there were some startup companies and one moved to South Carolina and so you moved to South Carolina and then you still created yet even more spaces. Part of that being women life and science, part of that being a whole other accelerator kind of thing. I don't know if it spun off for the first, but like you ended up getting a radio show, you've ended up creating a community, like connect the dots a little bit more as to how did those, or did you just say, why not? I think there should be a community. I think there should be another accelerator over here. Like, help us understand.
I
How did,
well, I
yeah,
think, there are definite signs, right? So I mean, from the practical sense of things, it's an emerging market. There's desire to build the ecosystem.
yeah,
There is a gap, and the expertise of the experience of building a small accelerator. Why not develop? Why reinvent the wheel? And so you take the recipe and
yep.
then you adapt it to a new kind of cooking class that would feed a smaller number of people, not the larger community like a Seattle. But it doesn't have to be that big. I mean, that's been I guess I would, I've always thought, oh, wouldn't that be great to be able to create similar, I wouldn't say duplicate, but create similar in an ecosystem that actually could benefit from it. And
Mm,
that's and it's talking to people, like understanding exactly what's been sort of like the desires, what's been a strategic initiative, what's been, those are the practical things. At the same time, it's been a desire of mine to actually, like, okay, what if we build it this way? Like I personally wanted to really push that glass ceiling and push, let's start this institute, and why not have a woman or a group of women found it, right?
Yeah.
So that's
And
the
so tell a little bit about what that is and what the focus is and what kind of
You're
things are
talking about
helped.
the Palmetto Innovasphere. So Innovasphere is really an accelerator institute that it's a sphere. If you can think of a sphere, it has the main core, but it relies on the spoke that
Mm,
makes it turn,
nice.
right? A linear accelerator is the same thing, right? An accelerator, just, you need it to turn, and you need to keep it churning, and spinning out other opportunities for others. And so, but you need key spokes to make it work. And again, that kind of tells you a little bit about who I am and what I am, because I'm always thinking about the sphere, not the sphere as in the business sphere, but the sphere of the whole thing.
Yeah. Imagine what your life would be like if your career aligned with who you are, what you do best, and actually fueled the life you want. At Next Success, we support all ages and stages through career transitions, from students exploring majors or careers to job seekers actively searching or reimagining their next move to professionals committed to self-awareness and leadership growth. Stay connected and explore what's possible at nextsuccesscareers.com and follow Next Success Method on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
And so we wrap around our services around an early stage life science company to ensure that they are successful in delivering whether it's treatment or device or technology, I'd say delivering their innovation into the community to better the community. So at the end of the day, if somebody asked me, well, what's your ultimate thing? And I would say bettering everyone's lives, whether it's curing a disease, coming up with a new treatment that's better for the people and the community. And that's the ultimate thing. So Innovasphere is really that. It works very closely with all the stakeholders, economic development, innovators, investors, and what I call the affiliates and the government agencies, to really kind of build this sphere structure so that everybody's collaborating together, and which actually allows for a lot of these early stage companies to grow and expand and scale. And there are many different stages to scaling in a business sense. Some people will say, well, it's kind of touchy feely. It's like, not really. There's practical things in there. Is it easy? No, it's not. It is not an easy thing. It's not an easy path. Yes, there are people that are going to look at me and like, who the hell she thinks she is for building this thing. And I'm at an age where I'm like, well, why not?
I could either help you or not. Because the thing, from, being an entrepreneur, just in general, it's all new. For that first founder to try to do something, everything is new.
Yeah.
Even the most simplest business things, from going from an established structure that already had everything in place and relationships, and even if it's just email or computers, like the simplest thing can end up for any entrepreneur, any company, to be like a day derailing event or a week derailing event for
Yeah.
something else. And so for you to have spent so many years understanding the ins and outs of so many companies and initiatives or foundations or however the case may be, and then you have that insider knowledge of how to make connections and things that would normally stop somebody for a day, a week, a month, indefinitely. You're like, but wait, oh, you need that? Okay. And making the connection and helping propel and move people forward greater than they could have done on their own. So why not you? That's
Why
amazing.
why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and a lot of the innovators and entrepreneurs, I mean, they're like looking for somebody to help them, but at the same time, not minimize their own expertise either.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Such a cool foundation, like a cool model of ways to make things work. Because you hear it, like I'd heard about accelerators for companies, and you could kind of like drive by the building and you're like, okay, but you don't really ultimately understand what
What
that
happened?
is, or
Yeah,
an
what that
incubate.
is.
Like you're just
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
they might become something bigger, interesting, a lot of stuff like that. Okay,
Someone
so
asked
how?
me, well, I want to be the first. I want to be like the biggest, like the number one, right? Whatever that is. And I kind of thought about that and I thought about it. And they said, no, you know what? I don't want to be number one because you lose your nimbleness and
Right.
you lose your thinking outside the box. And everybody's trying to be number one, and you're constantly having to quote unquote fight to
Yep.
stay in number one. Don't want it.
Yeah, there's a
I think,
beauty in working in a smaller environment where you can have more influence, more agility, all
yeah,
of those things.
yeah.
Yes.
Number
Yeah.
two is just fine with me.
There you go. I forgot to ask you, back from
Yeah.
your kind of like, if we could rewind a little bit to your earlier lens of growing up, what did you think success meant then? What did you think it was for someone to be successful back from that very early viewpoint?
Oh, good question. Uh, Other than, of course, everybody wants to be rich. I don't think I had like a thing. I think probably the everybody want it really I have always thought of like the whole picture, like
Mm.
impacting like, positive impact and outcome, positive influence, I guess.
Yes.
Um, and if you're successful, I'm successful. That's
Yeah.
always been a thing.
So
Yeah.
it was a group focused,
Yeah.
zoomed out view of
Yeah.
success, even from your earliest
Yeah.
memories. It was
Yeah.
never an individualistic
No.
thing. Interesting.
No.
Yeah.
However, I do find that whatever it is that I'm doing, it is individualistic. Uh,
Yes.
but it's like it's joyful for me to be able to,
It's a
you know,
giving, it's a constant like sharing of your gifts and talents to help other gifts and talents,
yeah,
not about your, even though, yes, you have an individual focus, but you're not trying to be the number one. You're not trying to be the limelight. You're not trying to step in the thing. You're just trying to
never
help
have been.
move
Yeah.
something forward in the way
Yeah.
that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did this whole women life and science thing come about? And what is women life and science? And how has that been put into the world?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So somewhere in there, I have always wanted to build some sort of a women community. And somehow I also recognized, probably innate in me, recognizing that we should come together and build a community. Um, from like how Women Life and Science even started, and I told you this story before. Brushing my teeth, getting ready to go to a meeting, putting on my makeup and stuff like that. And of course, I listened to podcasts and stuff like that. But I at the time, I didn't know like how to even do podcasts. Um, I said to myself, okay, what would that be great to have like, a podcast specifically just for women to tell stories and not the like high celebrity because we have that and it's lovely to listen to those, but more what I call just the community, regular women to talk about their journeys.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, oh, that's great. And then I'm driving, I get this call. I didn't answer. I let the phone call go to voicemail after the meeting. I listened to the voicemail and it was Voice America and the executive producer. I said, well, we're we're starting or piloting some sort of new channel called Empowering Channel. And have you ever thought about being a podcast host? And I'm like, one, where did that come from? Because I have never participated in any podcast prior to that, or even started my own thing. Two, how did they find me? Obviously, LinkedIn, I'm sure, but they looked at backgrounds and stuff like that. But it was like, out of the thousands and thousands of people, why do I get that? Right.
Right.
After on the same day that I actually thought about creating, or would not be great to have.
Yeah.
So I called her up and we talked, and it was a 13-week pilot. And, of course, as you know, I told you there's a cost to that. And I'm like, yeah. So I am one of those people that if there's something in front of me that seems to be coincidental, and is really not coincidence, then I really look at it and it's telling me something, right?
Mm.
But that was just like a complete 100,000% match to whatever it was that I was thinking. I could not say no. I
Yeah.
was just like, okay, fine, let's do it. But I need help. Right? I have no idea how to do this thing. And they say, oh, we'll coach you and stuff like that. So we did. I mean, my best friend Julie, actually, I told her about it, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is great." And I said, you might be my first guest, so be ready. I'm gonna call you, and then the rest is history. And now, the podcast is not. There's no advertisement there. It's just stories. It's gotten to the point of really a lot of authors have been our guest, and I'm loving every single episode.
Yes.
Sometimes we just sort of just chat. I have met the most incredible people. Obviously, two of them, Judy and Courtney. There's more. I mean, it's just there's other stuff. And for me, that's like a blessing. It's like, okay, I am stepping into what the universe has sort of given me as my mission.
Yeah. And I love it. And even that you had gone on that mission. Then, when I was supposed to be a host in the same network, I was like, success leaves clues. And let me try to figure out who's already in the network so I can see if I could learn from them and their experiences. Now, of course, by the time my show was supposed to start, some other things fell apart and I ended up just doing
Yeah.
my own thing. And yet I'm still so grateful for that experience, even though for a few months there it was quite a mess, but it led me to you. And it led me
That's
to getting to know you, to learning more from your experiences in that journey, to getting to be on your show. And now here it is almost a year later, and you're on mine. And it's like, wait, what? And that beautiful women, life, and science community beyond just the show, but you've had conferences, and I got to be a part of one last year. But tell a little bit about that, these beautiful events, not just, listening from wherever you are, but you've brought women together now for a few years in a row. So tell a little bit about.
Well, it's 3 years, right? This is our third annual. So the podcast happened first, and it wasn't even really an organization, like a formalized organization at that time. And you've met Lilia, who is a board member of
Beautiful.
Women, Life, and Science, but she's
Yes.
also a co-founder of Palmetto
Yeah.
Innovasphere. So she and I are somewhat joined at the hip. I call her kind of like my South Carolina twin. Uh, but again, that's like a true example of how when it's meant to happen, people are kind of brought to you, right? And so the conference was a second thought, because as I was doing the podcast and things like that, I said, well, I have done many different conferences professionally. I had a team of event coordinators and stuff like that. Totally, within the cancer research world, know all about it. This one was like, let's just do it. And oh my gosh, let's just do it. Started talking to people, and we just, we did their first one. We had a great turnout. The second one that you attended, that was just a second one. And having Courtney come was meant to happen. And that even at that conference, you saw how the interaction of every participant, men and women, we had a small number of men and they participated, very interactive. And it really just truly turned into more of a retreat because it was very interactive and just the connection was incredible. I mean, you felt it in the room,
Yeah.
uh, all throughout. I look at it, again, it's just it was a residual from the podcast. It's like, well, let's bring together women and let's just kind of, tell stories. And then at the same time, it was almost like, okay, something is happening here. I don't know what it is, but let's just continue. Um, and it also has become sort of like a think tank
Hmm.
of women leaders. I have an idea. Wouldn't it be great? Oh,
Yeah.
we need to talk about women's health. How can we take action? Not just as a group, we're not lobbying for anything, but
Yeah.
individually, how can we get involved? And that's the theme for this year, the science of self. And I think there's more to it than that. So it'll evolve. I'm a prime believer of evolution when it comes to organizations and communities. It will evolve into something else, or grow, or evolve into something bigger, I should say. Um, what that's going to look like, I don't know what it looks like yet. Am
And you're
I going
open
to
to it.
be a part
Yeah.
of it? Is somebody else is going to take over? Um, I I'm fine with that. Somebody else has an idea that can really take it to the next level. I'm okay because it's not
And
about
so
me.
again, yeah, yeah, you're you're just your selfless version of success, I would say. And but that's even I've seen that there's many events and other things that you have. So there's still this podcast to tell stories of women. And then there's this conference slash retreat that happens annually. And then I've seen other events that take place throughout the year, and primarily I guess it's the Greenville, South Carolina community, and yet all are welcome to be
Yes,
able to come and
yes,
participate.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And then I
it's
have my professional stuff, right? I go to professional conferences because it's part of my work. Those
yeah.
things are joyful to me. I may not travel as much as I used to because I used to be, my husband will tell you, I was gone almost every other week,
Mm.
and through the 30, almost 30 years, I was gone all the time. But we're kind of used to it that one of us is traveling and gone all the time because he's military and he was deployed and all that stuff. So that was been our life. And we're kind of coming into this sort of like, oh, you're not traveling as much. Oh, what? We're going to travel together to Boston because you're facilitating a panel discussion at a conference. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a kind of
Fascinating.
a,
You're traveling
yeah,
together. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's-
yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this event, and of course, if somebody is a true listener, they'll know that Judy's episode is coming up. Courtney's episode is probably already out by the time we hear your episode. But what is this event on April 30th this year in Greenville, South Carolina? Women, Life, and Science, Science of Self. Tell us a little bit, like, how do people learn about it? How can people, if they're listening in time, decide to come and make the trip and view
Oh
and
my
be part
gosh.
of
Well,
it?
I think they need to listen to some of the podcasts, obviously. But, website is wlscience.com. And our focus this year, like I said, is the science of self. And that's harnessing your own personal resilience and empowering action to make an impact, not just it doesn't have to be a big impact. It could be an impact. If you want it to be big, great. Pick a cause, whatever it is. But if it's an impact to just establish a new relationship with another woman to help them lift them up, what have you, that's great. Is it a business impact? Whatever that may be, it's really just a call to action to take action rather than just sit there and contemplate whether I'm going to do it or not. That's what it is, really. Find that fearlessness within you to move forward with whatever it is that you're thinking about. The day is it's all day. Our keynote speaker is Judith Pearson. She's a well-renowned author of women in history that have made significant impact in health and life science in other people's lives. And she herself is one of those women who have made an impact and have been a leader herself. And she has her own fascinating story. I won't disclose too much because I know she's going to talk about it at your podcast, but she has done a lot. And I love her to death. And how, again, how I met her was through my podcast, right?
Yeah.
And we became real good friends. Courtney McDermott, she was our keynote speaker last year. The science behind what she talks about and teaches others is she practices herself. She's not just, talking about it just because she's talking about it. She's actually, it's kind of like she's her own first test product.
Yeah.
So this is, firsthand stories and firsthand experience on the things that she has learned herself in significant pivot and transition to whatever it was that she was doing at the time professionally, and now completely doing it differently, and very passionate about women's just women's self, really.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to talk about specific to South Carolina women's health through our public health relationship and understanding, some of the challenges that some women are facing within our immediate community. And then you're doing a panel with Lee, I believe. Yeah,
Yes,
with
I'll be
Lee Holcomb.
part of a panel with a
Yeah.
lot of other amazing
Yeah.
ladies
And
as
and
well.
so there's that conversation. And then in between what the difference from this year from last year, this year in between, Courtney's going to lead everybody into exercise, and then at the end a call to action of like, what's your personal call to action that you're going to take away from
Oh, I
take
love it.
away with.
I love it so much. So couple more questions. Like,
Yes.
how do people find you? How do people work with you as far as like the whole Palmetto
Innovasphere.
Innovasphere? Yes.
Absolutely. So Palmetto Innovasphere, the email is too long, so I'm not gonna but
I'll
it's
link it in the notes.
okay, that sounds great. But it's CZ Harms at palmettoinnovasphere.org. Or you can just go to the website at Innovasphere, not Innosphere, Innovasphere, sc.org. That, if you're an entrepreneur, early stage life science company, whether you're a medical device, digital health, biotech, that is, I would say that, and if you're an investor in that space, come talk to us because I think we have a lot to offer. For Women, Life, and Science, WLScience.com or WLScience.org, doesn't matter. It kind of connects to each other. And it's Cecilia.zh at WLScience.com.
Awesome. And I'm huge on authentic success, and that's how you define it. Now, your version of success has been awesome from the start, but how do you define authentic success for you now?
Now, at this particular
Yep. From this
moment,
vantage point on this day, being authentically successful, not necessarily what the world is saying, what other people are saying you should do, but how do you decide what you're doing, if it's a success today, tomorrow, next week, next year? Like, how do you decide that authentic version for yourself? And what does it mean?
well, we're doing it right now. right this second. The fact that this is successful in my view, this right here. And part of that is because of the story and how we even got here.
Mm.
So from the time that we first just, you just called to inquire how
Yeah.
to being on the podcast, attending the conference. I mean, it led to this. This right here for me is an authentic success because it represents just my being, my person. So people people who are listening, um, this is it. This is what you get.
Mm.
I
I
don't
love
have
it.
anything else to like, you know. I mean, I have other talents, of course, but this is it.
Yeah. You're just an amazingly beautiful, helpful, forward thinking collaborator, innovator, community builder, and just allowing all of your gifts and talents to flow through you for the betterment of the world. And I, for one, am extremely blessed and grateful to have been introduced to you, to have this develop into more of a friendship. And I can't wait, or I can hardly wait. I can wait, but I can hardly wait to see how this community that you've built evolves, develops over time. And I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to get to have you on the show, to have some of these other beautiful women on the show as well, and to share that with the world so that each person, no matter where you are, no matter what's happening in your day, if it's your worst day or your best day, just know there is an entire community of women that wants to help you move forward to whatever's next.
Absolutely. And it's not just our, immediate Carolinas. They're all over and just
Yeah.
it even our speakers, right? I mean, look, we span uh the first year we even had somebody from London, but this year we're more national. But we have somebody from California and Florida and I mean, they're just all over the place. I am going to say just a little plug for Women Life and Science Conference. We are, if your listeners are in the ability to also promote the conference, but at the same, and also if they're able to sponsor the conference, that would be fantastic. That all the information is on the website, or just go to Eventbrite and type in Women Life and Science Conference. Should be there.
Love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, thank you so much, Cecilia, for all of your time today, for
Well,
sharing more
thank
of your
you.
story
Thank you for
and the
being here
background. Yes.
and for what
So
you're doing because I know you're doing great things.
thank you so much. You're good, Cecilia. Thank you for being part of your next success.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I love the conversation.
Cecilia, thank you. Your leadership expands possibilities. Thank you for creating community, structure, and opportunity for others. For those listening, you want to be sure to join in the transformation taking place at the Women Life and Science Conference on April 30th, 2026. The link for tickets will be in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Your Next Success with Dr. Carolyn Sengel. Remember, authentic success is yours to define and includes aligning your career to support the life you want.